also, not only how would you define greatness, but what do you, right? What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? What are your goals, your visions? Like, what does that look like for your personal life? Think about that. Maybe write it down this week, or even right now. Think about, what does greatness actually look like for my life? And then after you've defined it, here's what I want you to do. I want you to also leave it with an open-ended sentence or an open-ended definition for greatness. And the reason why I say that is because, obviously our definitions are going to differ from person to person. But not only is your definition of greatness, you might have your definition right now, but it might change in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because we're always changing. You and I are always changing and moving forward. But I just want you to think about, what does greatness actually look like for me? And if I want to accomplish greatness, what I got to do. So here's number one. Famous author Anonymous says this: your desire to change must be greater than your desire to stay the same. So as you and I are approaching this road toward greatness, our desire to change has got to be greater than our desire to stay the same. I can't be both at the same time. I've either got to be one or I've got to be the other. As I mentioned in our last class, I was, with my ex-wife, and I decided to stay in San Diego. I was supposed to go up to like Loma Linda area to study, and I stayed in San Diego to do psychology. Nothing wrong with psychology, but that's not really what my heart desired. That wasn't really what I wanted. So that wasn't my road for greatness at the moment. When I found her with another dude, and then of course we went our own ways, that's when I got laser focus, and my burden, watch this, became my blessing. The very thing that disrupted my life, that totally hurt me, that totally just, like, my world fell apart. The very pain that I went through was actually the fuel that allowed me to catapult into my destination. And so what happened was, I wanted to change, I wanted to do things different, but there was not this strong desire. But that pain was that little push, right? The pain gave me the push. The pain gave me the push to do what? To get laser focused, go to school, do what I wanted to do. And I got done with school in about a year and a half, because why? I got laser focused. So right now, ask yourself the question, do I really want to change, or am I making excuses for myself? Of course, there's no right or wrong answer, but that's just for you to kind of look at, internalize for yourself. Number two, again, the famous author Anonymous says this: you must be willing to give up what you are in order to become what you are not. You must be willing to give up what you are in order to become what you're not. I was thinking about this. You and I are always in a state of becoming, right? We're always becoming somebody. We're always becoming somebody. And that somebody is the culmination of all of our experiences, and the way we perceive our experiences, and the way we answer those experiences, or the way we choose. And you and I are building ourselves, because every decision, every choice that we make is laced with self-conditioning. Every choice that I make, big or small, it is laced with self-conditioning. So I didn't just wake up and become this Joshua Aaron Rios that I am at 34 years old, right? No, I've been making decisions day in, day out, small and big, and they are literally conditioning my reality. They're conditioning my brain to be and to express myself in a certain way. So not only are we always in a state of becoming, I want to invite you to think about not only becoming, but unbecoming. Unbecoming? What are you talking about? Unbecoming, right? Unbecoming is the state of saying, hey, somehow I've become something that I never thought I was going to become. Think about your younger self. In your younger years, would you have ever imagined that you would become the person that you've become today? Think about that. Are you happy with who you've become today? Are you satisfied? Are you saying, you know what, the person that I am right now, who I've become throughout the years, did you ever think, number one, that you'd become the person that you are today? And number two, are you happy with who you've become? And in real life skills, and what we're trying to talk about is constantly rewiring the brain And not only do we say, hey, here's who I've become, but life is often saying, Josh, I'm inviting you to unbecome what you became, because maybe that wasn't exactly who you wanted to become. And so life is inviting us to unbecome, to unlearn the things that we have learned, right? And one of those, honestly, that's actually one of the most difficult things. It's not about learning more information. It's about unlearning the unhealthy stuff that I learned along the way, letting go of that, and then allowing myself to become something new. Confucius says this in number 3. He says, the will to win, the desire to succeed, and the urge to reach your full potential, these are the keys that will unlock the door to excellence. In other words, how bad do you want it? Do you want it that bad? Do you want it? Do you want change that bad? Do you want greatness that bad? Do you want your goals, your achievements that bad? Because until you and I get to that place in our life where I have a burning desire to do something different, which is why it's such a, like we talked about, it's such a blessing in disguise that when we go through, just tough times, really what that does is sometimes it'll push us forward. It'll kind of give us that extra boost and say, wow, I didn't know that I had that within me. Number 4, Horace Mann, he says this, seek not greatness. We're talking about the recipe for greatness. And then Horace Mann comes along and says, hey, don't look for greatness, but seek the truth and you will find both. So here we are, we're saying, hey, I want to be great. I want to know what is this recipe towards greatness. And Horace Mann would say, hey, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be great, but I'm going to tell you something. Don't look to be great. Actually, just seek the truth and you'll do both. If you seek the truth, if you do it with integrity, with character, if you do it with honor, do it with respect, he says you will actually do both. Don't try to cut the corners. Don't try to get ahead of the game in a way that's not fair. Right? He's saying seek truth and you'll find both. George Bernard Shaw, he says this, just do what must be done. This may not be happiness, but it is greatness. I know there's a lot of times that there's a lot of things in my life right now that I don't feel like doing. I'm like, I just don't feel like doing that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be a part of that, whatever it may be. We all get into those moods. But George Bernard Shaw is reminding us, just because you don't feel it doesn't mean you can't do it. In other words, don't allow your feelings to dictate, right, your actions. Imagine if I allowed every one of my feelings to dictate my actions. Sometimes you want to maybe smack somebody. Sometimes you want to cut somebody off the road. Sometimes you want to flip somebody else. Sometimes you want to give that person a piece of your mind, because that's how you're feeling in the moment. But you and I cannot be driven, or we cannot allow our feelings to dictate our actions. We must choose, right, with our own minds to do the very opposite sometimes. And George Bernard Shaw is reminding us, you may not feel like doing, you may not feel like waking up at 5 a.m. and going the extra mile. You may not feel like being generous. You may not feel like being kind. You may not feel like doing the responsible thing. But he says, just do what must be done. It may not be happiness for the moment, but it will be greatness. And your future self will thank you when you do it. It's like, I don't want to do this, but then you get it done. And you're like, you know what? I'm really glad that I did that and I didn't procrastinate. Charles Simmons says this, true greatness consists in being great in the little things, right? In little things. If you really want to be great, he says, you got to be great in the little things, because life is an accumulation of little things. We often want to jump from A to Z in life, whether it's with work or relationships or finances or career, dream, vision, whatever, physical fitness. I know we all wish we could just kind of skip the process. But Charles Simmons is saying, hey, Josh, if you want to be great, don't just think about the big things in life. If you're consistent in the little things, those little things will add up. And before you know it, the accumulation of those things creates something big in your life. If you're committed, if you stay focused, right? If you put your heart and your passion into it. if you do this day in, day out, little by little, it may not seem like it's much, but you are pushing the needle a little bit further along the way of the path that you want to create. Dr. Martin Luther King, I love this one. Lesson number 8, he says, if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep the streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep the streets so well that all the host of heaven and earth will pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. Dr. King would have agreed with Charles Simmons, who said, hey, if you want to be great, you got to be great in the little things. Dr. King is reminding us, hey, if you want to be great in any area of your life that you are called to do, wherever you're serving for the moment, maybe for the moment or for a lifetime. He says, hey, it may just be street sweeping. You're like, oh, that's not that important. I'm just sweeping the street. But Dr. King is asking us to stretch our imaginations, to think a little bit deeper, to cross the bridge to another profound level of understanding. And he's inviting us to say, listen, if you sweep the streets, just do it in the same way that Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. Because you and I never know what can happen or what can come of it. There was this guy who wanted to go to school. He really didn't have any money to go to school. But anyways, he goes to this college. He says, I would like to attend this school, but my finances are a little tight, but I could work. I could work on campus. I could do janitorial work, do whatever you want, and to help me pay for my schooling. And the dean there said, we really don't have an opening, and I don't know. He said, please, I'll do anything. Just give me a shot. She said, okay. So I'll tell you what, clean the classrooms, come after school's over, clean some of the classrooms in the bathroom, and we'll go from there. Well, he did that. True story. He cleaned the bathroom, cleaned the classrooms. Small job. It's like, whatever, this is just a small job, not a big deal. He cleaned them so well that the dean was overly impressed that she literally said, hey, we're going to hire you. You're going to do this, this will be a full-time position just for you. It'll help you pay towards your school, and you're welcome to come to these classes. The point being is this young man who wanted to get an education to improve himself, right, to grow his mind, to get a degree. You would never thought okay, it's just cleaning the classroom. It's just cleaning the bathroom. Something that small would have such a profound ripple effect on his life because he did it with everything that he had. He didn't think this is too small of a job for me. He just put everything that he had into it. And because of that, a door of opportunity opened for him. All right, Ralph Marston says this: excellence is not a, what's the word there? Can somebody read that for me on that one? The quote on excellence is not a
skill.
It's not a skill. Thank you, Amanda. So excellence is not a skill, it is an attitude. All right. Excellence is not about, do I have the right skills to be excellent? Ralph would come in and say, no, it's all about your attitude. You could be the best player on the court, on the team, but if your attitude stinks, nobody wants to play with you. And you're not going to help, right? You're going to help your team to move forward, to progress. So Ralph is saying, if you want to be great in life, what's amazing is, what is your attitude like? I think I might have shared this last time, but if your attitude gave off a certain fragrance, right? Depending on your attitude, if for just imagination purposes, if your attitude could give off a fragrance, would it be sweet smelling and beautiful and like, wow, that smells really great? Or would the fragrance of your attitude give off a foul smell? Would it be smelling great, or would it be stinky? Ralph Marston says, hey, if you want to be great on this road, on this recipe to life, I know you have this idea of being great means X, Y, Z, and I got to accomplish this, and I got to accomplish that. And that's great. Do all that, but do it with an attitude that is positive. Do it with an attitude that's filled with gratitude and kindness with humility and respect and integrity, with character, he would say, hey, if you really want to be great, make sure that your attitude don't stink. All right, Les Brown, he says, you must remain focused. You must remain focused on your journey to greatness. The acronym for focus, FOCUS, right? Follow one course until successful. Follow one course until successful. I know that you and I live in a world where we are distracted by everything, right? We're distracted by being parents, being spouses. We're distracted because we have jobs. We're distracted by social media. We're distracted by our friends and our family. We're distracted by the news. We're distracted by whatever it might be that's around us. We're constantly being distracted, constantly being pulled into different directions. And Les Brown coming up to us and dropping his wisdom and saying, hey, if you want to be great in whatever area of your life that you want to be great, you've got to stay focused. If you want to be great in your marriage, you got to stay focused. If you want to be great, as a mom or a dad or on your job or in relationships, you got to stay focused. If you want to do great in the game that you're playing, you've got to stay focused, because your mind is what does it all. I remember I would play my brother tennis, and he would get so mad. He'd get so upset. My older brother, Ruben, he'd get so mad because he couldn't beat me in tennis. And he would say, man, you're not even that good. I don't even know, I can't even beat you. What is it? And I'd say, bro, I'm going to tell you my key. I'm remaining focused up here. And literally what I do, I will tell myself over and over, I'm self-talk, which is the most important talk that you're going to hear, is what you're saying to yourself, because you talk to you more than anybody. They say that we think 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day. Your voice is telling you over and over, whether we know it, whether we hear that voice with intentionality or we're doing it with no intention. But I told my brother, I said, bro, I literally will tell my brain, I will tell myself, stay focused. And then I will literally tell myself, he's not going to get another point, or he's not going to win this game. He's not going to win this game. And that focus did something, right? It was the driving power that sent out the signal throughout the rest of my body to try a little harder, to run a little faster, right? To get to that ball, to hit the ball, whatever it might be. Why? Because I was telling myself to stay focused on the moment that allowed me to beat him, to win the game. It wasn't that I was necessarily better than him, right? The game wise, but where I did beat him was I was able to stay focused. Where he was getting upset, losing the ball, I can't believe it. And so he started losing that momentum, right? My mom, same thing. She would tell me, Josh, go clean your room. When I was younger, go clean your room. And oh man, I hated, clean my room. I said, Mom, it looked like a tornado hit my room, right? I can't even walk in there. I don't even know where to start. And I couldn't focus on the big picture. And then my mom would say, hey, Josh, don't look at the entire mess. Just start with one corner, clean that up, move over, clean that up, move over, clean that up, move over, clean that up. And before you know it, the whole room is clean, right? Why? Because I was too focused on the big picture at hand that it overwhelmed me. Are any of you feeling overwhelmed right now in life? Are any of you feeling
Yes.
any situation right now, right? Because you're looking
all day.
and you're just like, yo, I can't handle this right now. But I could hear my mom say, Josh, don't look at the big picture of life. Just do one thing at a time and don't move forward until you finish that next thing, right? Follow one course until successful. So what I would do before is I would try to do everything and nothing would get done. And my mom would say, no, start with one piece, finish that. When you finish that, move to the next. When you finish that, move to the next. And so I'm just wondering today if there's anybody here who's just thinking, man, I need to get focused. I'm all over the place, right? I'm starting one project, another project, another project. Before you know it, I'm not getting anything done. Or your relationships, right? Maybe you got to get focused on the relationship, whether, being a parent, being a spouse, a brother or sister, a sibling, whatever it might be, your cousins, work-wise, wherever. How can you stay focused and say, let me be intentional about being present in this relationship? Let me stay focused in this area of my life, because right now it's all over the place. It's all over the place. All right, number, where are we at? Number 11, 12. Ah, number 10, sorry, excellence is doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. That's what excellence is, right? We think that excellence is doing extraordinary things, right? In extraordinary ways. Like, wow, I did this extraordinary thing and that makes me excellent. John Gardner would say it's not about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing the ordinary, mundane things, but doing them in ways that are extraordinary, right? Wash the dishes like it's nobody's business, right? Kiss the person that you love like in an extraordinary way, not just like, oh, just every day I give them no, kiss them. When you tell the person that you love, do it, right? With extravagance. Hug the person that you love, hug them extravagantly. Whatever you're doing, John Gardner is saying is if you want to do excellence in life, do the ordinary things and then do them extraordinarily well. Do you notice then that it is our own minds that we're fighting against all the time? That the greatest battle that I will ever fight is not out there, but it's in here, right? The greatest enemy is my inner me. It's me. And I'm the one who I have to fight. I'm the one who has to not get lazy and stay focused. I'm the one who's got to keep pushing. I'm the one who's got to keep on saying, oh, this is just an ordinary thing. It's no big deal, right? If I take that mental, that state of mind, if I take that attitude, then that's the way it's going to be. But what separates these people from these, doing great, amazing things is they've mastered their minds, right? They have literally gotten to a place. That's what, when you see sports stars, I mean, there's guys that are they're pretty even as far as talent wise, but what separates the great athletes from the normal athlete is the mind. They have found a way to literally beat their own minds, right? The mind that's trying to push back and say, you can't, you'll never amount to, that's too good to be true. Who do you think you are? You remember what you did in your past? Do you remember what happened back then, right? All these things start coming up inside of us. And you and I have got to find a way to continue to press on, even in the midst of those voices that are trying to keep us down, to shut us out. And we've got to do ordinary things and find a way to do them extraordinarily well so we can be on the road towards excellence. Anais Nin, I love this. She says, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. In other words, your reality, whatever you're looking at, that's not reality. Your reality is your perception of the reality, right? Your world is the way you perceive your world. Two people, could go to an art show, look at the same exact painting and come away with two different experiences. One person could love it and my goodness, this is amazing. This is what I saw, this is what I experienced. The other person, whatever, didn't do nothing for me, right? One person is open to the moment. One person is curious. One person is saying, wow, I want to learn something new, so that when they approach the painting, they're able to receive the experience of that reality in a powerful and profound way. The other person already comes to that painting kind of closed, kind of like, whatever, I've seen this before. This isn't that great. All right, that's cool, next. And if you and I have that, remember, that state of mind, that attitude, then it will alter the way we perceive and the way we experience the moment. So question for you and myself today, is there anybody here who as you're thinking about, are you somebody with an open heart, open mind, who's curious and willing to move forward, right? And see things like that? Or are you a person who's constantly closing the door on opportunities? Ask yourself if you are willing to do so. All right. Does everyone see that? I don't know what that is. Juanita, can you hear me? No?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
can hear
can
you.
see it.
Is there writing on your screen?
Yes, there is.
Does
Yep.
anybody know where that's coming from?
No, don't
All right.
know.
Well, let's move forward. I don't know what that is. Looks like it says something audio, but all right.
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. Number 11, or 12, I'm sorry, Norman Vincent Peale. He says this, formulate and stamp indelibly on your mind, a mental picture of yourself as succeeding. All right. So, what are your thoughts constantly developing or painting in your life? You and I are always have this illustration of what we think life should look like and about ourselves as well. So he says you gotta formulate this mental picture of yourself as succeeding. Do you see yourself succeeding? All right. Every day that you wake up, I'm going to succeed today. I'm going to do great today. I'm going to pass that test. I'm going to get that career. I'm going to become this person that I've always dreamed of, right? He says, your mind will seek to develop the picture. Do not build up obstacles in your imagination. All right, number 13. I like this. Earl Nightingale, he says, here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. The key to success, he said, we become what we thinking about, what we think about, what you think about. I want you to ask yourself, if you could, right, as you are going throughout your day, try to notice your thoughts. What am I thinking about? And then follow up with, why am I thinking that? Right? Why am I always worried? Why am I always anxious? Why do I keep thinking about that? Why do I keep on thinking about that? And allow yourself to answer those questions for the purpose of, one, becoming aware of it. And then number two, once you become aware of it, practicing something different.
I have a
Choose
question.
to create a new habit, right? That as you become aware of it, you can shift, right, the lane and say, no, I've got to go this way. I'm going down this road. And if I stay on this track, this path is going to lead me into a place that I don't want to end up. So let me flip directions here and go another way. All right. Number 14, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He says this, the heights of great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward in the night. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow just reminding us that sometimes it's going to take sacrifice. Sometimes while everybody else is sleeping, you're up. You're up before everybody else is up, right? You're going the extra mile so that you can get to a place where, all right, I've got to that place now. I've put in my work. I've put in my hours. Right? Malcolm Gladwell, he's an author today of many books. He says to become an expert, right, or to become great at anything, it takes a minimum of 10,000 hours. You put in the time, right? You put in the time in whatever you've been investing in, whatever you've been doing. As you invest in yourself, he says, eventually you become great at it. 10,000 hours to become an expert at something in life. You want to be an expert in the piano? He says, at least a minimum 10,000 hours playing that thing, practicing over and over and over. And as you practice, of course, you and I get better and better. Number 15, John M. Kine says this, the difficulty lies not so much in developing new ideas as in escaping from the old ones. This is so hard, right? He's saying this isn't about, because the way you and I live today, it's all about marketing. And they're always telling you, you need this, all right, to complete you. You need this to lose weight. You need this to be cool. You need this to make you happy. It's always about the new thing, the new thing, the new thing that's coming out. You need the new thing. And then you get the new thing, and guess what? It becomes the old thing. So then you need the new thing all over again. And that's the way it is about with us, right? We're always thinking, if I just learned something more, if I was just, smarter in this area, if I just had more resources in that area, if I just knew more. But here, John is reminding us that it's not about getting new stuff. It's about escaping from the old stuff that has always kept us back. Maybe it's a way of thinking. Maybe it's a story you've been telling yourself. And I want you to think about what's one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but what is one idea that you need to let go? One old idea, right? Not finding a new one, not learning something new, although that's good. But what's this week? What's one old idea that you need to escape from and just let it go? Just say, you know what? This hasn't been helping me. And insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. If I've been doing this over and over and over, that's Albert Einstein, by the way. If I've been doing this over and over and over, and it's the same result, then obviously I need to change something up, right? Or I need to let go of that old idea that that was the only way. And I've got to be open, right, to something else. I've got to be open to something else. Orison Martin says this. He says, no one has a corner on success. It is his who pays the price. I know that sometimes it's hard. You know, one of the quickest ways to rob yourself of joy, of fulfillment, of happiness is this little word called comparison. Comparison literally can steal and rob your joy, because a lot of times we will measure ourselves up against somebody else. So here I come, I compare myself who's at their chapter 20 in life, right? Their career, their life, whatever, they're at chapter 20, and I'm just at maybe chapter 5. And so here I come, I'm comparing the two, and then I beat myself up. I get down on myself because I'm like, how come I'm not at chapter 20 and I can't believe it? Look at where I'm at. And then I lie to myself and I'm like, well, that person's successful. Obviously they've got success down. It's all theirs. They own success. They got the corner of success. But Orison's saying, no, Josh, I want to remind you that nobody has a corner. Nobody owns success. Nobody owns, right, greatness. If you really want it, it's yours. You've got to put in the work. You've got to put in the time. You've got to put in the commitment. You got to do it, sacrifice, but it's there if and only if you want it bad enough. Number 17, Thomas Jefferson, he says, whenever you do a thing, act as if all the world were watching. Whenever you do anything, act as if all the world were watching, or act as if, you know, maybe your little grandkid was watching, or act as if your grandmother was watching, right? Like who would you be when that person's there? And here's a more, I think, even a more profound question is not so much who are you when everybody's watching, but who are you when nobody's watching? Because whatever you practice in private will reveal itself, right, in public. Whatever I'm doing when nobody's watching, I'm thinking, nobody's watching, whatever, I can do this, I can eat that, I can watch that, I can, you know, listen to that, and I'm just doing that because nobody else is around, and but really what I'm doing is I'm conditioning my heart, my mind, my soul, right, to be bent towards a certain way. And as I said in the beginning, every choice that I make is laced with a certain type of self-conditioning. So who am I when everybody's watching? That's one thing. But who am I when nobody's watching? Who's Joshua Aaron choosing to be when nobody's watching? Because what I practice in private will eventually come out or reveal itself, express itself in public. David Henry Thoreau, number 18, this I would say is kind of this is the thesis statement of real life skills. If I could pick one of the quotes out of all of the ones that you've had, here's what he says. He says, as a single footstep will not make a path on the earth, so a single thought will not make a pathway in the mind. All right, so in the same way, you know, you go on a hiking trail, and the only reason why that path has been created is because people have walked footstep after footstep after footstep after footstep, that it creates this path. And Henry David Thoreau is reminding us, he's saying, listen, that's the same way that your mind works. If you are more prone, right, towards negativity, then you have been making this path in your mind for a long time. It didn't just happen overnight. You've been walking that path over up here and over and over and over, and pretty soon that's an easy pathway. On the flip side, if I practice something positive, practice something healthy, I do that over and over and over and over, pretty soon I make that pathway in my mind. So he says, as a single footstep will not make a pathway on the earth, so a single thought will not make a pathway in the mind. To make a deep physical path, we walk again and again. to make a deep mental path, we must think over and over the kind of thoughts we wish to dominate our lives. We must think over and over the kind of thoughts that we wish, right, to dominate our lives. I don't know what it is, but science tells us that positive thinking, it's kind of like Teflon. They rolls right off. Negative thoughts, they're like Velcro. They stick, right? If you've ever noticed, you can get 10 compliments. Oh, wow, you look great today. Oh, man, I love that. That color looks great on you. Oh, wow, you beautiful. About 10 thoughts. And then one person out of the 10, right, will come and say something negative to you. And what does the mind do? It automatically gravitates and thinks about that one negative thought. 10 people just told you how amazing you are. One person comes and says, you're not amazing. And that's the one thing that you're thinking about. Point being is Henry David Thoreau is reminding us that you and I have to keep on thinking these thoughts over and over and over to the point where that's what dominates my thought, right? That's what dominates my mind. And again, science lets us know that for you to think about a thought, you have to think about that positive thought for a minimum of 15 seconds. 15 seconds minimum, right? Which is why you got to think over and over throughout the days, the weeks, the months, that same thought over and over. So here's an example. I go walk by with my little dog, Gigi, as she's sleeping right here. We go for a walk and I see a flower. And I see the flower, I walk by, wow, it's amazing, blah, blah, keep walking. Don't even think about it, other than for that second. I saw the flower, wow, that's amazing. But if I stop and I wonder at the flower, for a minimum of 15 seconds, I appreciate the flower and I look at the colors and I look at the different like shape that it is. And I just, for like those 15 seconds, I'm just like, wow, this flower is amazing. You know what happens? That thought stays stuck in my mind. That image stays there. And I have a deeper appreciation of that. I know, a little flower. But watch this. My experience with reality in that moment, my experience with life in that moment, all of a sudden becomes a little bit sweeter, a little bit better, a little bit more profound. Number 19 and then 20, and then we'll finish up here. Unknown says this: we can stay young by focusing on a dream instead of a regret. Stay young by focusing on a dream instead of regret. And number 20, it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. It's what you see. It's not what you look at that matters. What do you see in your life? What do you see in your future? Right? What do you see in your home? What do you see in your kids? What do you see in your relationship? Because it's not about what you're looking at. It's about what you see. Right? Do you see the glass half empty or do you see the glass half full? What do you see for yourself and for your life? And the follow-up question is, are you happy with what you see? And not only are you happy with what you see in front of you, but are you happy with the way of your seeing, right? Am I a person who's always seeing through that lens? Because all of us are interpreting life through the lens that we've developed or the lens that's been given to us. And now I have to ask myself, Josh, is it time for some new lens? Do you need a new way of seeing? Josh, do you need a new way of perceiving? Are you ready for, an upgrade so that you can see life a little bit different? All right, that's all I got for you. I want to hand this over to Juanita and see if there are any questions or thoughts or just anything that you want to talk about, please.
Someone did ask if they could ask a question, so please feel free to do so. You can unmute yourself and ask a question if you have it.
that was me. I just had a question about what if you're unable to kind of like change your thinking because you have some sort of like mental illness.
That's
yeah. So you don't know how to like help yourself.
Yeah, that's such a great question. Kiara?
Mm-hmm.
Kiara. Yeah, beautiful question. My dad, he suffers from bipolar. And he was addicted to drugs for about 25 years of our life, my life actually, since before I was born. And it's been a battle, for him. That's definitely, he has that. And so he does go to the doctor, and he does, with the help of medicine and the help of counseling and the help of, he has chosen for himself a faith-based community that he goes to. And then of course, his kids that he still hangs out with. So he goes to the gym. My point is, as bad as he has, what the things that he's gone through, right? And even right now, I would say this, he has not given up. And because it's the culmination of all those things, right? Through the medicine, through the therapy, through the, like I said, faith-based, whether it's being involved with church or, making sure his reading, hanging out with his kids, working out, trying a holistic approach, it has changed dramatically who he is. And what he said is, man, if I didn't have those things, I would have been dead, or B, I would go crazy.
Right.
So I just think that profound question that you asked about changing the way we see. And of course it comes with, it comes with a lot of care, a lot of loving kindness, and patience, really being patient with ourselves and with the people that we are working with.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that answered your question, but
it did. It's just kind of hard when people have, first of all, quarantine has been crazy.
Right.
So a lot of the things that people were doing prior to anything else,
right.
They're not able to do. So now they're trying to switch things around.
Right.
And then just like, the weight of the world and then your issues.
No, I totally hear you on all of that. And I know that we're all a part of that, and we have those days that are just so difficult. I know for me, one of the things that has helped me is that anything that you and I focus on in life, right? If you have a little magnifying glass, the purpose of magnifying glass is to get focus, and then it makes that thing bigger, right? So you can look at a little insect with magnify, it makes it bigger.
Right.
You look at anything, it makes it bigger. And that's the same thing with our minds. Your mind is like a little magnifying glass. And whatever you focus on, that it becomes bigger. So if you focus on all, man, right now, this and this and that, guess what? The problems become bigger. I'm not saying that they're not problems, because they are problems. But the more we spend energy focusing on our problems rather than solutions, or rather than ways of being, right? We're giving energy to make that thing bigger than it needs to be. But when I start shifting my mindset and saying, okay, what's the solution? Or how can I start thinking differently? Or how can I be more positive? I know the reality is this sucks right now. I know that I'm in pain. I know that this isn't fair. And I can focus on all that, but it's not going to get me anywhere. Alexa, off. It's not going to get me anywhere. It's when I make a choice, and it's not easy to put one step, one foot in front of the other and say, okay, I know this is tough, but let me find the solution. Or let me find the blessing in disguise here. Or let me see, what can I learn from this moment right now? Or how is this going to make me a better person? Not why is this happening to me, but why is this happening for me?
As I can add to that as an addition,
Yeah, of course.
Josh is so right when you talk about focusing on something and just connecting to that. In June, I had my brother who passed from the COVID. And so at that time, I was focusing a lot on the fact that now I had lost all 4 of my brothers and I had no more brothers at all. And then it came time for me to start working on the Power of One and all the ladies I help with this really great program. And so I decided to focus my energy to them and to help them. And in that way, I was also assisting everyone that needed the help in his name as well. And so I think that all of us go through very difficult times, but it's what can we use that pain for, and how do we make it better for everyone else? And the more we help others, the stronger we become and the better we feel.
That's all. Juanita, thank you so much for sharing that. That was, wow. I don't have any words other than thank you.
Yes, thank you, Juanita, because that's really true.
It is. It is a very true statement, and it is a reality that we're all living in at this time. So we do need to just try to see the good in everything. For us, um, focusing on a fight to make things better for the situation that occurred to him has been a strength for us to help others that are
Yeah.
in his same situation. So think about things that would make things better for others, and then try and focus on that for yourselves.
Mm,
And you'll see how different you start to feel when you're helping others move past the
wow.
same situation.
My goodness. You just draw a bucket of wisdom on us right now. Thank you.
Sure did, man. I have to do better my own self. I definitely take what you said to heart.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss, Miss Juanita. My condolences.
Yeah, Miss Juanita, that's so sad. Sorry for your loss. And there's no words ever, because I know what it's like. I've lost two dads, and a mom and a brother. So I definitely understand.
Well, thank you. And I don't usually say this, but I was listening to Kara, and I think that this was something she needed to hear. Just, it was at the moment
Yeah.
to say it. But I don't usually talk about these type of things. I just focus on helping as many people as I can.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. This is Johnsy.
Hey.
So, yeah. So my question is like, so my boyfriend is far away from home and he's dealing with homesickness. So how can you be positive towards that?
Mm.
Because it's like he can't go home because of the COVID because it's far.
So
And
he's in San Diego now?
yeah, we live together.
Okay.
My family doesn't even want to see me.
Mm.
Scared of catching COVID from me because I live downtown.
Right.
So it's really hard. It's really difficult.
Yeah.
And he lost his job because of it. And it's hard. Like the only thing that's like keeping us together is school because I am in school right now. But it's really hard to just like be in the house like this, even though like it's like we have to do it, but it's really hard, I don't know how to describe it. Like I'm on Zoom like 10 hours a day
For
So-
school?
for school. Yeah.
Wow.
Intense. So, yeah, like I'm doing all that. He's about to graduate and it's really tough. It's really difficult to stay motivated because my family's in San Diego. And like, he wants to see us. So for the holidays, we're gonna be by ourselves.
Right.
It's so hard, like for real.
Are you guys are you able to FaceTime with your family? Do you FaceTime with them?
Yeah, I mean, I do Zoom with them. Sometimes we FaceTime, but last time I saw them on my birthday, it was like my cousin was like 6 feet away, and like usually like we would go to church and stuff like that, but like now she doesn't even want to touch me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it hurts, because it's like I live here, but these people don't even want to see me. It's crazy.
Do you think though that do you think that it's you that they don't want to see, or is it because of COVID and those things, right? So in other words, like,
Yeah.
do I take it personally, or do I understand that everyone is dealing with it differently, right? And everyone's fear factor, everyone like is handling this COVID situation totally different. Some people are not scared, right? To that extreme. Some other people are like, I'm gonna stay in my house for 2021 as well, I don't know, going to that extreme. And and so I think what could help you is, one, try not to take things personally. Obviously, I don't think if COVID wasn't this a factor, then obviously they would be with you and they would be hugging you and there'd be church. So I think you got to keep on telling yourself that over and over until you finally like it registers in your heart. You're like, yeah, okay, like it's not that. Other thing is, like I said, focusing on the things that you can do, not focusing on the things that you can't do, because that'll bring you down. And then school wise, 10 hours a day, like, man, that's a lot. My heart goes out to you. And maybe even asking yourself, hey, is this healthy for me right now? Like, maybe, do I need to slow down? Maybe I need to take maybe less classes, and that's okay. In other words, giving yourself the grace and the permission to not feel like, oh my goodness, I have to take this many classes and beat myself up and da da da. I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't. I'm saying do some internal investigation for yourself and say, is it okay? Like, am I gonna have a breakdown? Is this worth my health? Right? Like, is it worth me like snapping? Like, no, it's not. So then, okay, can I pace myself? Yeah, I can. But these are these things that you have to have, these conversations. And then for you and your boyfriend, I would say, like, maybe carving out like a schedule where it's like, hey, and I maybe already do this, but we're stuck in the house all day together. But on this day, I'm going to take an hour to myself. What does that look like? I'm going to go for a walk or something. It doesn't mean I don't want to be with you. It doesn't mean that I don't love you, but just so that we remain healthy and not kill each other in this house together because you driving me crazy, I'm about to smack you, right? And vice versa. Like, really planning a course of action, which says, hey, here's what I want to do, and sticking to that routine, because we need to develop those new routines to develop new habits. And so going over that with him and saying, okay, what can we do? And what can you do? And encouraging him too, like, hey, I want you to go out and whatever he likes to do, whether it's walking or jogging or going to the park or sitting out, meditation, like, San Diego's outdoors. Luckily there's no snow. So, but thinking about that.
Okay, because he gets really homesick.
Yeah.
It's really tough. Like,
well, and does he do the Zoom or no?
He does it, but not as much as I do, because my family's not all here in San Diego. I mean, I have family in Texas.
Yeah.
Family in DC. I got family, and they're calling in, and it's just like, it just sucks.
So he should definitely try to at least once a week say, hey, I want to set down a Zoom time with with them. Ask them, are you guys willing to sit down and give me like whatever it looks like, 30 minutes, a week or something like that, or an hour, just for him to feel that. And once again, help.
I'm not going to, like, it's like 10 hours of like studying. And then sometimes I have Zoom meetings with, my tutor, librarians, my teacher, but it's a good 10 hours.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
It's cool because I'm studying for my master's, so
Okay.
It's more intense. But I mean, ever since I started doing this, it's like it's taking my mind off of COVID because I'm scared of catching it. Like,
Right.
I'm one of those people with the mask, the face shield, the gloves, like.
So you're doing everything right.
Right.
You're doing everything right.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're doing everything right, John Z, means that, you're in a good place at this point. All right. And that if you're saying right now, after being stuck in the house for 11 months, what is it?
There you go.
What is it? 7 months that we've been here?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I mean, I honestly, in March, my husband actually told me, go and walk, go do something, because I was getting really cranky here at the house.
Right.
And so
Right.
when I started going out and just walking around the block, even when there was no people around, it really helped my whole demeanor. It helped my whole outlook. You really do feel at ease, or it kind of like you shake off all the cobwebs. I don't know how to describe it, but it just takes a lot of stuff away.
Yeah.
Right, Josh?
You're moving that energy, that energy that's all like, like a, water that's moving. They say that's the water that you can drink, but you never want to drink still water if you're out in the mountains that's been sitting there. Why? Because the still water is like, it gets toxins. Well, you and I are like that, right? If we don't move, that still water, and all of a sudden there's these toxins inside of us, emotional, mental thoughts, all this stuff. But if we move that energy, as Juanita said, and did something and trying to refocus, we're starting to move the water again, so that we can become healthy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I mean, this is all very helpful. I just get nervous to go outside because sometimes it's kind of scary. I mean, people are going through it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, like I said, you're doing your part. Do your part. Don't live in fear. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do. You're wearing your mask. I know that for a lot of people it's tough, and and on the flip side, there are a lot of people who have gotten it and they got through it as well. Right? There's more survivors than there are fatalities. And that's not to say that it's not real and painful. Obviously Juanita just shared with us, her tragedy, and it's terrible, right? But try not to focus on that stuff. Just do your part. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you all. We've gone over a little bit, but that's okay. It's a time for us to discuss. This is a good forum for us to discuss these things. But I
Yeah.
want to thank everyone for coming, attending this workshop. I hope it's been really helpful for everyone. And for those of you that need refreshers, Joshua is always here. We do, we always do these workshops. So if anyone is interested or miss anything, just let me know and we can set up a new series of workshops. And with that, I give you guys a goodbye and a thank you, and have a great weekend.
All right, y'all. Blessings. Thank you so much,
You
Juanita.
guys have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
bye, Miss Juanita. I'll try emailing you.
All right.
Or
Bye.
can I call you?
You can email me
Bye.
because my phones are always busy.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.